Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I call it false hopes because that's exactly what bear rallies do. They reignite false hopes, and I think that's exactly what we've been seeing, especially this move that's happened here in January into the beginning of February. And let's take a look. We're going to start off here with the ETF dashboard, a part of the ETF dashboard that I show my members every Saturday. So we'll look at the sectors and the index ETFs in here. And then we're going to take a look at the Nasdaq 100 today, both the NDX and the Qs. And then look at the dollar and the dollar index and gold and silver. Okay, so this last week we had 14 sectors up and 2 down. The previous week we had 1 up and 15 down. The leader to the upside was materials, XLB, up 4.2%. The leader to the downside was utilities, XLU, down 0.5%. And then when you look at for the year to date so far, the semiconductors up almost 21%. They continue to lead. They've been leading, ever since that strong move in January kicked them into high gear. And then utilities continue to bring up the rear at minus 6%. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I'm counting that right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative. So that means 11 sectors are up for the year so far and 5 are negative because I've got 16 up here. So I've got, some of these are really kind of subsectors. I understand that. It's like semiconductors, kind of a subsector of XLK. When we look at the index ETFs in here, transportation got a heck of a bounce this last week, up 3.9%. Everything was positive, as you know, and the leader for the year continues to be the Qs, up 12.5%. Okay, let's take a look at our side-by-side view. Okay, let me shrink this down. Okay, so the Dow was up 573 points this last week after a big strong move to the downside. We just didn't get any fall through. We got a little bit of fall through, but was watching this December low pretty closely, and we broke it, but we did not close below it, at least not yet. The S&P 500 was up 75 points, and the Nasdaq 100 was up to 320 points. So this was the strongest looking move of the three. I think we closed above the prior high, so it's going to be interesting to see, do we get any follow through off of that or not. Let's go back over to the home screen here, and here is that weekly, this is the weekly view of the NDX, and here's the daily view. So on Friday, we were up 246 points. Well, pretty good 2-day move in here. We'll see, the way I've got this counting as 5 small waves down for a first wave in here. We'll see if that holds or not. We've had a couple of decent, we've had 3 major rallies actually since the high back in November of 2021. 17% rally into the March high, and then a 24.3% rally into the August high. And then coming off the October lows to the high here in January, which actually peaked on February 2nd, up 23.4%. So we're watching closely, is this going to hold? Now it's really interesting when you look at the daily view in here, we've had some pretty strong snapback rallies like this in the downtrends. Okay, once you roll over, it looks like we're heading down. I mean, look at this move that happened in September coming off that August high. And it doesn't matter which segment you look at. I mean, you could see back here in May, April, coming off that April into May, some pretty strong counter trend type moves. And that's exactly what we're getting right now. Okay, so let's take a look at the Elliott Wave picture that we've got in here. So right now, I'm counting this as intermediate wave 2 to the high in August, and that we're working our way down 1, 2. Now, what am I watching? Here's the alternate that I've got, and I'll show that a little bit better over here on the daily. Here's what I'm looking at. That if this continues, let's say, for example, let me get my marker out. that this continues to move higher up in here, and we take out this level right here, actually 13,125. If we press above 13,125, then this wave from this right here, this is what I mean to show you right here, then this has become bigger than intermediate wave 2. So if that were to happen, then I'm going to move to the alternate count that says intermediate wave 1 here and intermediate wave 2 over here. But I'm not moving to that until this happens, because right now everything is still playing out according to form in here. Now there was one other thing I wanted to show you, and I was trying to think of where that is. Maybe it's over here. Let me look. Actually, it's on the Qs, and I'm going to pull that up right now because they've got the same count on the Qs because it's just the index ETF, okay? So here's the picture on the Qs. Here's what I wanted to show you, this 276.53 level. So at that point, if we were to roll over here and come down, now I know I've got 5 waves counted in here. It's not perfect, but if we were to continue to come down in here and break below 276.53, then this move right here has become bigger than this move right here. And I think it increases the odds that the next bear leg is underway. Okay, so I'm watching this level pretty closely right now, as well as what is the wave count, what is the wave structure doing up into here. So that's where we sit when we look at the Qs and the NDX. Let's take a look at the dollar index. And before that, I just want to mention, here's the level that I'm looking at, and I mentioned it on NDX, but here's the level I'm looking at for 319.40. We get above 319.40. That should be in sync with the number that I had on NDX over here of 13,125. Okay, so we break above that level, I'm going to be moving this alternate count into this being an intermediate wave 2. But as I said, I haven't done that yet. Okay, let's take a look at the dollar index. Okay, so the dollar index was down 0.506 on Friday, and for the week down 0.693. Okay, so we're still got this resistance area in here, so we're slightly below that resistance area, is like 105.63 to 105.82. It's going to be real interesting to see if we're just kind of like regrouping and then we push through it. When I look at the Elliott wave count I've got on this, I believe we have 5 waves down for wave A. And so given that it's 5 waves, I believe it's a zigzag that's forming, okay? Now it could also be that we have a new impulse of a new bear move, but the way I've got this counted, let me just show you the bigger picture. I have this as primary wave 1, and I'm looking for primary wave 2, and then we're going to get another primary wave 3 to the upside because I think we're in cycle wave 3. Okay, so given that, I am looking at this as a zigzag. And given that it's a zigzag, I mean, here's the tricky part about a B wave. Okay, you know, a B wave can be just about any kind of corrective pattern, right? It could be a zigzag by itself. It can be a triangle. It can be a flat, or it can be a combination of those. So, you know, you're just never quite sure what it's going to morph into. And that's why we have to just closely watch the, the wave structure in here. Now, what am I looking at over here with this percentage move? When you have a zigzag, the percentage retracement of B as a percent of A has a tendency to get into this territory, 50 to 79%. So that's what I'm looking at. That's why I anticipate that the dollar index is most likely going to break through this resistance area, and I'm just watching to see how soon does it do it and what's the wave structure look like when it is doing it. So that's what I'm looking at with the dollar index. Let's take a look at gold and silver. And, you know, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go back to the moving average. We'll start off there. We'll look at GLD. It was up $1.83 on Friday and up $4.14 for the week. Now, I must say, this looks fairly strong in the way it closed above the prior week's high. and it's above the 10-week moving average. So kind of a nice strong move in here, but I'm still holding the bearish count on this because we gave it every opportunity to turn bullish and it just refused to do that. So right now I continue to count this. I've got this as a 1-2, and that we're working our way down for a C wave, intermediate wave C. And so right now we're in counter trend mode. We'll see how this is going to play out, but that's the way I've got it here on GLD. And let me go back to the moving average view. Let's take a look at SLV. And here's how that looks. It was up 46 cents for the week, up 31 cents on Friday. Not nearly as strong as gold, right? I mean, gold closed above the prior week. This isn't even close. Okay, and this has been weaker all along. And I've got a little different wave count on here on silver. You know, we're working our way down. I think we're in the third minor wave of the third intermediate wave. Here's kind of the bigger picture that we're working down here. And so we continue to watch. Does this is the path forward. Again, when you look at these out, these are just wave counts linked together. This is not a prediction of timing or magnitude. We're looking at the wave structure in here. And because of this, then what you do is you monitor to say, okay, is it playing according to plan, or is it doing something different? So this is the way it looks at this point in time. Continue to look at it from a bearish perspective. And I know everybody say, well, what would change your perspective? Well, if we turn around and start taking out the January highs, then you got to sit back and say, well, maybe something else is going on, because then you'd be looking at, okay, is it breaking above this level, like this trend line? If we ever do something like this and break above that, then you got to sit back and say, okay, the bull's showing its cards now. Okay, but so far that hasn't been the case. All right, so that's it for this week. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehinches.net. Check out the website, check out the membership. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.